Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's time to look at some of the craziest red spells from Dominaria. Now these are noteworthy, unique, or just hyper powerful, or likely to go up, likely to fit into multiple formats, whatever. Just I'm spotlighting them because they're significant. Now this is the red edition of this video, so it's going to be all red cards, and let me just say, red looks pretty good because it's kind of like in cahoots with blue, you know, it's red and blue wizards. And when red and blue get together, you get dragons, wizard spell cloning, creature removal, prowess, weird flying creatures. Like black and white, it's like, okay, powerful creatures with some combat tricks and doubling down on removal. Gotcha. Red and blue get together, it's like counter a spell and then burn you to death. Like, it's crazy. Just like weird chaotic crap happens. And they really cranked up the power level to 11 this time, so check this out. We've got Jaia's Immolating Inferno just for starters. Now this card is nuts. I mean, this actually kind of gives Torment of Hailfire a run for its money. Now this card is so hyper powerful that they had to balance it with a downside, and they do that all the time on creature spells, everything in Magic. I mean, it costs 3 to kill a creature with a black spell. That is a absolute fact. If it costs 2, it's either going to be double black or sorcery speed or only certain creatures, you know, like go for the throat, walk the plank, it's going to have an exemption. You know, just something like that. And then Bone Splinters, well, you have to sack a creature along with it. So, you know, the lower you go away from the norm of 3, the more specific. And the same goes for counter spells. It costs 3 to counter a spell in Magic. That is just a fact. If it costs 2, then you get, oh, only creatures. Oh, only non-creatures. And then when you get down to 1, it's like, oh, only spells that target you. Okay, turn aside. This spell is kind of the same thing. For 5 mana, this can do 9 damage. It is sorcery speed, but it can do it to a player, a planeswalker, or a creature. And by the way, multiple. So multi-target, player versus creature options, and a boatload of total damage output, all for a low mana cost. What did they have to do to balance it? Legendary sorcery. You've got to have a legendary in play to cast this at all. That's a shame, but in the right deck, it's gonna work. So if we can get past the whole legendary sorcery thing, which we can't because it's going to backfire, pun very much intended, but let's pretend that you're going to get this spell off consistently and you're always going to have a legendary on the field, which, yeah, you're not, but like I said, pretend. It deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets. Now, I believe that's the new phrasing for planeswalker, creature, player, unless I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Now, it's kind of weird that instead of saying deals X damage to up to X targets, which would make sense because, like, the bigger the firestorm, the more individual targets it can hit, they just went with 3. Just specifically 3. I thought that was a little weird and kind of random, kind of arbitrary, but I mean, still, taking out 3 creatures is pretty good. And this still, you got to really pump a lot of mana into it to take out really big creatures, so it's still pretty fair. I just like this spell. I like everything about it except for the legendary sorcery part, but I think this would be overpowered if it had absolutely no limitation whatsoever. I think it would have been a little bit more fair and playable if the X was red, which I don't think is a thing. I don't think they've ever done colored X mana. I could be wrong, though. So, hey, I hope I can put this in a deck of some type because this card is crazy. I mean, guys, it's literally Rolling Thunder if Rolling Thunder cloned itself twice. I mean, holy crap. Anyway, next up, we got some more Gaia goodness with Gaia Ballard herself. Downtick ability? What's that? I'm Gaia, bitch. +1, add 3 mana. Holy crap. At least you're going to only cast instants and sorceries, but they didn't even color lock it. I mean, that like 3 is like a lot. Especially since, you know, you had 5 to bring her out, theoretically. By the way, her level of red devotion is crazy. So her other +1 is discard up to 3 cards, then draw that many. So miniature Wheel of Fortune. Very, very nice to get what you need. I mean, I'd say she'd work in Burn, but she costs 5. There ain't no 5-cost spells in Burn. But some kind of mid-range thing, some kind of like maybe a 2-color ramp up, you know, super X spell drop with, well, Jaia's Immolating Inferno, and then she'd be on the field, and then he could feed 3 extra mana into it. Woo, we could do some crazy crap with this. So she's not like, whoa, good, but she's just good. Just straight up good. Now, her -8 is pretty nuts, especially if you can keep her out for it. That's even more crazy. Because remember, discard up to 3 cards. So it's not just, I don't need these, it's, oh, I need these to be in the graveyard. Or more like with her emblem, I don't mind that they're in the graveyard because it says you may cast instant and sorcery spells from your graveyard. And then, of course, obviously exile them. So basically, every single card in your graveyard gains flashback if it's an instant or sorcery. That's kind of annoying because you can just keep it rolling, hit it again, hit it again, hit it again. And remember, if it's an X spell, you can fill X with a value. It's not like cloning it, free casting it, none of that. So like I said, she's not like, oh, astonishingly overpowered, oh my god, game ending. She is just plain good, and that's how Planeswalkers should be designed. Next up, Valduke, Keeper of the Flame. Anybody notice that he doesn't have a flame anywhere? Unless it's in his hand and it's like kind of not well drawn. I think he lost the flame, you guys. He's going to get fired. Well, anyway, this is a 3/2 for 3, so it's already all right. Legendary creature, human shaman, a lot of, tribal crap going on there. And then at the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to him personally, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Trample and haste, 3 damage and trample. Exile those tokens at the beginning of your next end step. You could throw 3 pieces of dirt cheap equipment on this guy and then just go. I mean, just think about that. You got him to worry about, plus all the boosts he would get from the equipment. And then you've got 9 more damage, all trample. And they're throwaway. You don't care what happens to them. Holy crap, this guy can win the game by himself. So red equipment, red-white equipment, red-black equipment. I could see any of those being a thing. Wow, I mean, you can't build a whole deck around this guy, but if you're already leaning towards something that would help, like even an all-aura kind of thing, or I don't know, maybe like I'd say blue-red wizard, but he's not a wizard, but it might still work, like a wizard aura thing. Oh boy, and then I think there's ways to bring auras out of the graveyard, multiple actually, so dang. This guy is smoking, and oh my god, it's another uncommon. Seriously, what is Wizards doing? This is just like, all the best cards are in the uncommon slot. This is so weird. Next up, I'm still not sure, 100% for sure, that this is a real card. Because remember, we had an April Fool's 8 days ago. We have got Two-Headed Giant. It's a 4-cost 4/4 double red. So, it's already just, okay, vanilla average, okay. But every single time it attacks, after it's already been declared an attacker, flip 2 coins. If both coins come up heads, Two-Headed Giant gains double strike until end of turn. If both coins come up tails, it gains menace. One of the 2 of those happening cumulatively is a 50-50 chance, because it could be heads tails or tails heads. Those are 2 different occurrences. So don't think that you've got an outcome-based 2/3 chance. And also, if you're like, I don't want to mess around with coins and send a quarter flying, or if you live in one of those places where like coins are $5 because your government thinks that that's efficient, I guess, just say even odd. Get a D6 and say even odd. It's the same damn thing. Of course, then you'd have to say even is heads, and then remember, okay, heads versus double tails, whatever. The problem with this is they're both good. I mean, a 4/4 for 4 swinging is already good. But then you might get double strike, and then you might gain menace, but you can't count on either one, and you can't predict it. And if you're like, wow, I really hope he gains menace, well, you got a 25% chance of that happening. It's outrageously unlikely. Now, Wizards has purposely and knowingly shied away from luck-based mechanics, and people don't like randomness, unreliability, and all that. I mean, how many times have you gotten burned by, flip up the top card. If it's this, then this. Rash me, the 2-color Nissa, all that stuff that's like, flip up the next card and cross your fingers and hope it's not a land. I hate it. You can't rely on it. It will sometimes burn you. And then that compounded with, so will your opening hand and your land draws. I don't need more random chance. I need skill. I want to outskill and outplay my opponent. So overall, I don't like this card. It's just, it could do 8 damage for 4, so of course it's on this list. And if you just treat it like it's a 4/4 and maybe I'll get more out of it, but otherwise, warrior tribal or something, there you go. That's an appropriate way to play this card. So just think of it as, I might get a bonus, not, oh man, I really need this to gain menace or double strike really, really often. Well, that's relying on luck. Not a good idea. Do not rely on something that is by definition unreliable. Oh, and let's not bury the lead here. They named the card Two-Headed Giant. Not only does this look and sound like some kind of uncard, but there's a format called that. There, I said it. Like, what the hell, Wizards? Like, this is a completely serious, like, they're taking themselves almost too seriously set, and then they throw this in. I mean, I like jokes, but, like, maybe save it for the core set or something with goblins or some kind of comic relief tribal or, you know, squirrel decks. Or I don't get where this came from. I really don't. Okay, next up, Wizard's Lightning. This is actually the last one. This one's really simple. It is literally Lightning Bolt, the most overpowered, unbalanced anomaly of a red card, but only if you're playing Wizard Tribal. So in other words, buy Dominaria. I mean, there's like 5 cards that are like, buy Dominaria, otherwise this card does nothing. Or buy Dominaria and build a deck out of it, otherwise this card will wreck you. I really, really, really cannot stand that they did that. It's so cheap. It's so just forced, and I don't think it's going to be that well received. I think if they got rid of those cards, this set stands on its own. It looks fun. The mechanics are wild. Some of the cards look amazing. People would buy it. They'd buy it for lore, art, story, favorite characters, everything. They'd play it because the cards look fun. The mechanics are cool. Sagas look awesome. You don't need these stupid cards saying, here, you have to play Legendary. You have to play Wizard. You have to play this. And they did it with like all the dinosaurs and all the tribals too. I mean, it's like every set, it's like, you have to play this set and only this set. Well, look what happened when Energy dominated. Nobody bought anything else. Energy worked with itself, and it worked with absolutely nothing outside of the block. So then when a new block came out and it wasn't quite as on par with Energy, people just kept Energy and it sold like crap. You'd think they would have learned their lesson by now. Don't try to force the customers to do something, especially when it comes to like manipulating them into spending more money, because people's BS-ometer is set to 11 already when it comes to Wizards, and their constant lies about, you know, limited print runs not really being limited and products and changing prices and who they send it to. And oh my God, just it's so dishonest. People have zero trust of Wizards already. And now here's this among other things. And honestly, the other one, Cast Down or whatever, that's way worse. But yeah, it's 3 damage to any target, player, planeswalker, or creature for 1 mana as long as you're playing Dominaria. I mean, they might as well have just reprinted Apocalypse Chime, except had it say cards other than from the Dominaria block. Like, it's that forced and that transparent. Lightning Bolt is one of the most useful and most played, what am I saying? It's the most played red spell in the history of the game. That's because with the exception of Rift Bolt, there is nothing else like it. 3 damage for 1 mana is a 3-to-1 ratio. You do not see that these days. And if you do, it's like only non-flying, only sorcery speed, only creatures, only players. They add a restriction. You could say Rift Bolt added a restriction. I mean, a 1-turn delay is very far from nothing. But yeah, Lightning Bolt was a mathematical mistake. Maybe not at the time it was designed, which was obviously alpha or beta, one of the two. I don't know, probably alpha. But in modern terms, with the modern established unwritten rules of what it should cost to do what, it's an anomaly. And here it is again. And they're dangling it in front of your face saying, hey, play Dominaria and you get this. We'll give you basically a free little wink and nod, full-blown Lightning Bolt, instant speed and everything. I hate this. I absolutely hate this. I hate this card. But it's Lightning Bolt and it does 3 damage as an instant to anything you want. So of course it's going to be on this list. But what do you think about that disgraceful practice of them just trying to force it? Just absolutely trying to cram Dominaria down your throat? Kind of leading the question there, but let me know down in the comments section, and I'm going to move on to, what the hell is even next? Oh yeah, green. That's that other color that we play with. Welcome to Magic. I'll see you guys next video.